spends enough time here. Good evening, everyone. The executive session of the Wayne Board of Education regular meeting of September 26, 2024 was convened in the conference room of the Wayne Board of Education, 50 Nellis Drive, Wayne. Statement of compliance setting forth date, time, and location was read in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act. A roll call was taken. The meeting was recessed and is now being reconvened. Mr. Moffitt, roll call. Oh, I'm sorry. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. Mr. Moffitt, roll call.
Mr. Battershall?
Yeah.
Mr. Faber?
Here.
Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Mrs. Lamandry?
Here.
Mr. Paul?
Here.
Mr. Pavlak?
Here.
And Mrs. Rigoloso?
Here.
Dr. Toback.
Okay, just have a few quick announcements. First of all, I wanted to take a moment to thank our parents and also our staff members for creating a wonderful environment for back to school night. Attendance at each event has been amazing. Parental support is an important part of every school district's success, and we appreciate so many parents coming out to learn more about what their children will be learning in school. We have our last back to school night, which is at Wayne Valley on October 1st. A reminder to the community that a great Wayne tradition will play out on Saturday, October 5th, when Wayne Valley travels to Wayne Hills for their annual rivalry football game. Wear your orange shirts in support of Rocco and his family. Also, our weekly newsletter is a great way to stay connected to our schools and learn about the accomplishments of our students and staff. Our first newsletter for this year will be distributed tomorrow, and it's packed with great news about our school system, and you can subscribe to receive the newsletter weekly by logging onto our website. Just a quick update about aftercare. At our last meeting, a resident spoke about concerns about enrolling his child in the aftercare program, which had reached its enrollment limit based on staffing. At the time of our last meeting, there were 50 students who are on the waiting list for aftercare. I'm happy to report that as of yesterday, there were no students on the waiting list. Last but not least, we're proud to recommend Dr. Lauren Kazmark to the Board of Ed to replace a valued longtime employee, our Assistant Superintendent, Donna Reichman, who will be retiring at the end of October. Dr. Kazmark has a long and distinguished career as an educator and currently works as the Director of Curriculum and Grants for the Hackensack School District. She served in this role for 9 years. She started her career as a special education teacher in a self-contained classroom in Paramus. She went through a very rigorous interview process and emerged as our top candidate with Board of Ed approval. We look forward to getting started with a transition plan that will help her enjoy a great start in the Wayne Township Public Schools. And the last thing, my HIB report. I am reporting the following data related to harassment, intimidation, and bullying incidents in the Wayne Township Public School District. There were 2 incidents of HIB investigated since my last report, and neither of those cases were found to be actual HIB cases. That concludes my report.
Yes, under T, Emergent Human Resources, number 4, approval of appointment of district staff. Add to number 6, Lauren Kazmark, Assistant Superintendent. There'll be a note that states, subject to employment contract approval by the Passaic County Executive County Superintendent. Moving on to number 10, approval of revised items. We'll be removing item number 22, Kelly Pineda, Pineda. And lastly, under X1, we're going to add an approval of settlement agreement and general release. That action reads as follows. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves the settlement agreement and general release in the matter of civil action number 2:22-00114 SDW-JBC as attached by reference, and further authorizes the board president and secretary to execute same on behalf of the board. The business administrator and superintendent are authorized to take all further steps required by the terms of the settlement to further implement same. And that concludes the changes to tonight's agenda.
Agenda items only. Residents are asked to state their names, address, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 3 minutes per person. Members of the public who are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. The board bears no responsibilities for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to tonight by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at a subsequent meeting under old business. Do I have a mover?
Move.
Mr. Giordano, Mrs. Rigoloso. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on an agenda item?
Seeing no one approach, move to close.
Mr. Faber, Mrs. Lemandri. Committee reports. Mr. Giordano.
Okay, today the Transportation and Facilities Committee met. It was myself, Mr. Battershall, Mr. Pavlak, Mr. Romaine, Mr. Skibitsky, and Mr. Moffett. Transportation reported in about the beginning of school. First, they are working on agreements for transportation with Sussex Regional, who uses coach buses for some of their trips. The state of the school openings went smoothly. There were no vehicle-related issues. Some students were late, but this is an adjustment to the schedules. At the beginning of the year, there's always little snafus in getting things started, so we are improving on those. Other than that, it was a very safe opening, which is extraordinarily important. By the end of October, state inspections will be once again initiated on our buses, but we've been passing them recently. We keep very good care of our buses. Bus evacuations are scheduled for the month. These are state regulated and state mandated. Over on the facilities end, we have the electrical upgrade for the day centers just about done, waiting on PSE&G. Right before school, we had an issue with Lafayette with the sewage system. We wanted to mention that because our facilities people really worked very hard to make sure that that material was abated. There was asbestos that had to be abated. There was a number of different issues with the sewage system. You know what we're talking about there. It was done just before the opening of school, and everything is functioning there, so tip of the hat to our maintenance department for doing that. Solar panel agreements are in legal review. Our state drills for school are moving along. You have to have them the first 3 weeks of school. You have to have a certain amount of drills to kind of get the kids back into it and running with it. Preakness, we're working this week, continuing, or almost just about finished with the roofing and skin on Preakness right now. James Fallon's restroom has been completed. The Rod Grant project for Wayne Hills High School's chimneys is starting soon. The Ryerson Security Vestibule is completed, other than a couple of punch list items. We're very happy about that. We have no news on the pre-K SDA grant at this point, and we're getting a redistricting analysis somewhere around October 10th for the incoming issues with people, with new students coming in or anticipated in the next few years. And that is the Facilities and Transportation meeting.
Any other committees, reports? All right. Do I have a mover for the agenda?
I'd like to move the entire agenda in one.
Mr. Giordano, Mr. Battershall. Any comments? Discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mrs. Rigoloso?
Yes.
Mr. Battershall?
Yes.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Mrs. Lemandri?
Yes.
And Mr. Pavlak?
Yes.
Motion carries.
This portion of the meeting is open for citizens for comment on any topic. Residents are asked to state their name, address, and subject matter. Comments may be limited to 5 minutes per person. Members of the public are discouraged from speaking negatively about an employee or a student. Board bears no responsibility for comments made by the public. Comments regarding employees or students cannot be legally responded to by the board. Other comments may be responded to tonight or at a subsequent meeting under old business. Do I have a mover?
Move.
Second.
Mr. Giordano. God bless you. Mrs. Rigoloso. Bless
Thank you. Thanks.
Jim, I don't think that's on.
Thank you. Am I on now?
Yeah, now you're on.
Terrific, thank you. Jim Frieswick, 1212 Summerhill Road. I moved to Wayne when I was 10 years old with my parents from the city of Clifton, and I went through the Wayne public school system. Pines Lake School, Schuyler Colfax, Wayne High School, and then they built Wayne Hills, and I went to Wayne Hills as a junior and a senior, where I was the first president of the student council and a member of the first graduating class, the class of '68. And I was on the 50th anniversary committee to celebrate 50 years of Wayne Hills High School back in 2016. And they invited me to participate in the graduation ceremony that year in 2017, which I did, and it was a wonderful ceremony. And I've been in the habit of attending Wayne Hills graduation ceremonies over the last few years. I just tend to enjoy watching them and listening to the speeches and seeing all the students graduate. And I did attend the last one in June of this year, and as usual, I was impressed by the graduation ceremony. I thought it was a wonderful graduation ceremony. I did notice that some students, apparently Palestinian Arab student graduates at Wayne Hills, were displaying Palestinian flags. I had no problem with that. Those students certainly have a right to freedom of speech. No action was taken against them, thank heaven. That would have been ludicrous to try to discipline those students for exercising their rights to free speech. It wasn't done. I'm glad it wasn't done. And I noticed that at the August Board of Education meeting, there were some comments by some members of the public that were against the demonstrations of freedom of speech by the Palestinian Arabs students. And I think President Pavlak said you were going to take some action. The board was going to take some type of action, formal action, concerning graduation ceremonies. I was just wondering when you intend to do that and what type of action you intend to take. I did notice that policy 5460 was introduced at the August 22nd meeting, and it was approved at the September 12th meeting. And I read it, and I did notice in that newly revised policy that a diploma will be mailed by the principal within 2 business days after the graduation ceremony to any student who has met all the state and local requirements for high school graduation and who does not have any outstanding obligations to the school district or any violations of behavioral expectations or the district's code of conduct policies up to and throughout the conclusion of the high school graduation ceremony. So I was just curious as to whether or not the board was intending to adopt codes of conduct for students at graduation ceremonies, because under this policy, if they're violated, the board would not be sending them their high school diplomas. And I would hope that any code of conduct would not include an abridgment or a denial of a student's freedom of speech at a graduation ceremony. But I am curious to see what type of policy you're going to come up with and when you're going to come up with it, because I think that was promised back at the August 22nd board meeting. And finally, I would like to thank Assistant Superintendent Reichman for her service, her long service to this school district, 21 years. I'm appreciative. I'm sure the public is appreciative of all of her hard work and dedication.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak?
Seeing no one approach, move to close.
Second.
Favor? Mr. Giordano. Mr. Giordano, you have a retirement?
Yes, I do. This one is for Ms. Angela Karras. Ms. Angela Karras joined the Wayne Township Public Schools in January of 2015 as a long-term replacement school psychologist on the child study team. After completing another long-term assignment, she made Wayne Township her permanent home. Throughout her time here, she has been an integral part of the George Washington Middle School, Wayne Hills High School, Wayne Valley High School, and several summer child study teams. Ms. Karras has built a strong, trusting relationships with her students and their families, serving as a dedicated advocate who consistently goes above and beyond to ensure her students' confidence and success through to graduation. Her colleagues, including other school psychologists and child study team members, have often turned to her for advice and resources. As she embarks on her well-deserved retirement, we wish her the best in her next chapter, knowing will continue to involve helping others. While she'll be greatly missed, we are deeply grateful for the lasting impact she has made on the students of Wayne.
Thank you. Dr. Toback, any comments?
Just in response to Mr. Frieswick's?
Whatever,
Yep, very quickly.
you got the floor.
Okay. So, so the policy revision that Mr. Frieswick referenced really is an opportunity for the board to evaluate any situation that might emerge during any of the graduation ceremonies. So what it would allow would be time for review and to then go ahead with, taking whatever action, if any, that would be appropriate under the circumstances. So the board already does have a policy, and there are a set of rules that are provided to students regarding behavior during graduation. But again, it would be hard to make a decision in the moment, and so this allows the administration to ultimately take a step back and make a determination about what would be an appropriate course of action depending on what occurs during a graduation ceremony or not.
Thank you. I would like to, on behalf of the board, welcome Mary Ferrari. She'll be our new vice principal at Wayne Hills. Welcome. And Lauren Kasmar will be our new assistant superintendent. Welcome to Wayne. You're coming to a great place, great administrative team, and we're always looking for a new set of eyes to look at everything a little bit different and see what we can do better. Thank you. Any old business? New business? Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Giordano, Mrs. Rigoloso. Good night, everyone. Thank you.